For generations beyond counting, men have sought strength as if it were some hidden treasure buried beneath distant mountains. Yet the truth has always rested within the limits of their own spirit, waiting for the day they stopped lying to themselves. A warrior learns early that excuses are the first enemy, hesitation the second, and comfort the last and deadliest of all. Those who walked before us did not rise because the world guided them gently. They rose because they rejected the softness that kept others chained. In the silent hours before dawn, when the frost clung to their armor and their breath drifted like ghosts, they honed themselves not for glory, but survival. They repeated the same movements until their muscles screamed, until the blade felt like an extension of the soul. Mastery is not found in novelty, but in repetition that breaks and rebuilds you. The weak chase stimulation, the strong chase refinement. That is the difference. Many believe discipline is a matter of talent or destiny, but I have watched the gifted crumble under pressure, while the relentless carved a path straight through their limits. The relentless understand that suffering sharpens, while avoidance dulls. Pain reveals what must be improved. Comfort hides it. The ancestors embraced Shugyo, the deep and merciless training not meant for the body alone, but for the mind that commands it. Shugyo stripped them bare, removing vanity, dissolving ego, burning away everything unnecessary until only purpose remained. Meditation under icy waterfalls was not a ritual, but a confrontation with helplessness, the realization that discomfort only controls you when you flee from it. Those who stayed in the cold long enough learned that fear grows weaker when ignored, and discipline grows stronger when obeyed. A warrior does not pray for an easier world. He trains for a harder one. The world does not soften for the unprepared, and fate does not negotiate with those who feel overwhelmed. Every battle is won long before steel clashes, shaped by the hours you spent refusing to bow to your own weaknesses. When we teach Kaizen, we do not promise greatness overnight. We promise transformation over years. Daily improvement, no matter how small, amasses like layers of armor. A warrior who spends each day sharpening even the smallest part of himself becomes unrecognizable even to his past self. The man who avoids growth becomes a prisoner of who he once was. The man who embraces Kaizen becomes someone the past could never have imagined. And so I tell you, your enemy is not fatigue. It is the part of you that listens to fatigue. Your enemy is not doubt. It is the part of you that obeys doubt. You believe you lack strength, but what you truly lack is discipline. The unwavering command that states, I act because it is required, not because I feel like it. I have watched men collapse not because their bodies failed, but because their minds surrendered long before. Endurance is not physical, it is spiritual. A hardened spirit can make a broken body rise again. A weak spirit can make a strong body quit. That is why Seishin Tanren, the forging of the spirit, is paramount. A forged spirit is not unfeeling, but unyielding. A forged spirit allows fear to exist without allowing fear to lead. A forged spirit walks into the unknown without trembling for reassurance. You must kill the part of yourself that hopes for permission, forgiveness, shortcuts, and ease. That version of you is the true enemy. It clings to old habits, familiar patterns, comforting lies that keep you stagnant. Kill that version. Bury its excuses, bury its fears, bury the belief that tomorrow is guaranteed. Once that version dies, the path becomes clear. Work without complaint, improve without applause, endure without collapse. Only then does a warrior begin to rise. And rise you must, for the world has no mercy for those who hesitate. The storms do not stop simply because you feel unprepared. The enemies do not vanish simply because you feel afraid. The future does not slow simply because you walk too slowly. When the world presses against you, you must press harder, not because you are fearless, but because your purpose outweighs your fear. That is the creed of every warrior who refused to let circumstance dictate his fate. If you wish to stand among them, you must abandon the softness that weakens every decision you make. Train your mind to obey your will. Train your will to obey your purpose. And train your purpose to stand unshaken when everything else crumbles. You stand now at the threshold of a transformation only the disciplined will ever understand. A point in life where you must decide whether you will remain the person shaped by fear or become the person shaped by unbreakable intent. Every warrior before you has faced this crossroads. Every one of them had a moment where the weight of expectation, failure, and uncertainty pressed upon their shoulders like an invisible mountain. The weak misinterpret that pressure as a sign to stop. The strong interpret it as a sign they are approaching the territory where ordinary men collapse. A true warrior does not seek reassurance from the outside world because he knows the outside world is fickle, inconsistent, and blind to potential until it is proven. Instead, he seeks reassurance only from the consistency of his own actions. When your steps remain disciplined, your path cannot betray you. When your habits remain strong, your future cannot weaken you. The samurai of old refined themselves relentlessly because they knew a single moment of hesitation could cost everything. They trained not to impress others, but to erase the version of themselves that would falter when the blade met resistance. Their code was brutal. Act with precision, think with clarity, and live with intention. If a man's mind scattered, he anchored it. If his emotions swelled, he mastered them. If his discipline wavered, he corrected it before dawn. Bushido demanded accountability so harsh that most modern men would crumble under it. But you must understand something crucial. This harshness was not cruelty, it was freedom. A man governed by discipline is free from chaos. A man governed by purpose is free from doubt. A man governed by honor is free from the weight of regret. Weak men believe discipline restricts them. Strong men understand discipline liberates them from the prison of their own impulses. Look closely at your failures. They were not forged by lack of opportunity, but lack of preparation. Look closely at your regrets. They were not born from misfortune, but from the moments you betrayed your own potential. You must vow never to betray it again. You must swear to yourself that your purpose will outweigh your mood, that your duty will outweigh your fear, that your future will outweigh your excuses. A warrior who cannot control himself controls nothing. A warrior who cannot endure discomfort endures nothing. A warrior who cannot confront his own mind will fall long before any battle begins. This is why I tell you, train your spirit harder than your body. Strength without direction is recklessness. Speed without awareness is suicide. But a sharpened spirit, a spirit tempered by trial, discipline, and unwavering clarity, that spirit can walk through storms and remain unbroken. It can stand where others kneel. It can rise where others fail. It can endure where others collapse. And when life burns away everything you once knew, when circumstances reduce your former self to dust, when you face the ashes of who you used to be, You must not despair, for ashes are not the end. They are the beginning. Ashes mean the old self has died. Ashes mean the weak self has vanished. Ashes mean the path is clear to rebuild yourself into something unrecognizable to your past. And when you rise from that fire, when you step out with a hardened mind and a cleansed spirit, you will finally understand the creed whispered by every warrior who endured the flames before you. Through ash we ascend. For many seasons I have watched warriors rise and fall, and in every collapse I have seen the same root. A man who believed he had more time than he truly did. Time is the most ruthless commander, for it marches forward whether your discipline marches with it or not. The undisciplined become its prisoners. The disciplined become its masters. You must understand this now, before the weight of your unrealized potential crushes you. A warrior trains not because he desires praise, but because he refuses to waste the life he has been given. Those who squander their breath in idle comfort become ghosts long before they die. Our ancestors rejected such a fate, for they knew a man lives twice, once in the flesh and once in the memory of those who followed. But only the disciplined earn the second life. When I speak to you of responsibility, I do not speak of tasks. I speak of destiny. You carry the burden of every warrior who sharpened himself by fire rather than excuse. They endured storms that would break you in an instant, not because they were stronger, but because they demanded more of themselves than any external force demanded of them. When hunger gnawed at their bellies, they continued. When frost split their skin, they continued. When loss burned their hearts hollow, they continued. That is the essence of a warrior, not talent, not bloodline, not fortune, but continuation despite the crushing weight of existence. Weak men stop when the world hurts them. Strong men rise when the world hurts them. And the strongest rise because the world hurts them. Each wound carved into their past became a line etched into their discipline, a reminder that pain does not hinder transformation, it accelerates it. Shugyo taught this truth with merciless clarity. It stripped away illusions of ease and comfort, then forced the spirit to confront its own fragility. A fragile spirit breaks when pressed. A forged spirit flexes beneath pressure and returns sharper. Those who remained in the training halls long after others collapsed were not the strongest, merely the most committed. They did not compare themselves to rivals, but to their own former selves. If they woke stronger than yesterday, the day was a victory. If they remained unchanged, the day was a disgrace. Kaizen was the path, not for the impatient, but for the relentless. You must embrace this mentality if you wish to rise, for without daily improvement, your spirit will atrophy. Improvement is not measured in visible triumph, but in the quiet battles you win against laziness, against distraction, against fear. Every time you choose discipline over indulgence, you sharpen the unseen blade that will one day cut through every obstacle before you. But you must not confuse discipline with rigidity. Discipline is fluid, adaptable, aware. Rigidity snaps under pressure. Discipline bends and stabilizes. A disciplined warrior can move swiftly without losing intention, can endure chaos without losing composure, can face uncertainty without losing direction. This level of mastery requires Seishin Tanrin, the forging of the soul. You must confront the truths you hide from others, your fears, your insecurities, your failures, your doubts. You must look them in the eyes and refuse to bow. Only then can they be dissolved. Only then can you stand free. When you eliminate the lies you tell yourself, you clear the fog that clouds your judgment. When you eliminate the habits that weaken you, you create space for the habits that strengthen you. When you eliminate the version of yourself that clings to comfort, you unleash the version that thrives in adversity. You do not need perfect conditions to train. You need only breath and will. You do not need external validation to grow. You need only repetition and purpose. You do not need confidence to act. You need only to act until confidence emerges from your consistency. True warriors are not fearless. They are simply unmoved by fear. Fear becomes a shadow they acknowledge but never follow. Pain becomes a teacher they respect but never obey. Fatigue becomes a visitor they allow but never serve. Your spirit must reach the point where obstacles no longer intimidate you, because you have faced enough internal battles to understand that nothing external can conquer you if you refuse to surrender. And when the storms of life inevitably return, as they always do, you will not tremble as lesser men tremble. You will stand with the steadiness of mountains, with the clarity of moonlit water, with the resolve of those who mastered themselves before attempting to master anything else. You must now listen, not with your ears, but with your resolve. For what I speak is not guidance. It is a demand placed upon every warrior who wishes to rise beyond the reach of mediocrity. You have walked long enough carrying the habits of a man who half commits to his own destiny. That ends now. A warrior's transformation begins the moment he refuses to tolerate the weakness that once governed him. This refusal is not emotional, it is absolute. Weakness cannot be negotiated with, it cannot be reasoned with. It must be crushed under the heel of unwavering discipline. You must confront your vices with a general's ruthlessness. Eliminate what distracts you, sever what softens you, reject what slows you, silence what corrupts you. Your life will change when your standards change. When our ancestors reclaimed shattered lands after war, they did not rebuild lazily. They rebuilt with precision, intention, and pride. They sharpened themselves alongside their swords. They trained until their limbs ached because they understood that the body must be ready for battle, even if battle never comes. You too must train for futures unknown. Prepare yourself so thoroughly that when life strikes, it finds no weak point to exploit. Those who rely on motivation crumble. Those who rely on discipline cannot be bent. The world judges you not by your intentions, but by your consistency. A warrior with perfect intentions but undisciplined habits is no warrior at all. Skill fades without repetition. Strength fades without challenge. Clarity fades without silence. You must create the conditions under which your spirit thrives. Replace idleness with purpose. Replace distraction with attention. Replace fear with strategy. Replace doubt with repetition. This is the architecture of a sharpened life. In times of peace, warriors trained twice as hard because they understood the cruelty of unpreparedness. When conflict arises, the moment is too late to refine yourself. You either arrive forged or arrive doomed. Treat every day as preparation for battles you have not yet seen. Discipline is the shield that guards your future, the spear that pierces through adversity, the armor that protects your purpose. Without it, you stand naked before the world's chaos. With it, you become untouchable. But understand this, discipline is not loud, it does not shout, it does not boast, it is silent steel. It is the man who rises before dawn while others dream. It is the man who continues training when fatigue demands surrender. It is the man who keeps his word even when no one watches. It is the man who acts with honor when dishonor would be easier. You must become that man. You must build a spirit so steady that even your failures kneel before it. When life scorches you with loss, you must stand. When betrayal cracks your trust, you must stand. When doubt clouds your vision, you must stand. A warrior's worth is measured not by the battles he wins, but by the storms he survives without collapsing. Even when your world burns, even when everything familiar turns to smoke, you must rise from the ruin with eyes sharpened, breath steady, and steps unwavering. For there will come a moment when your old self dies, perhaps through hardship, perhaps through revelation, perhaps through the weight of responsibility. And in that moment, you will face a choice: remain among the ashes or rise beyond them. You know the answer expected of you. You know the creed carried through centuries of blood and triumph. And now it becomes yours, carved into your spirit, as it was carved into every warrior who ascended from suffering into strength. Through ash we ascend.